Now, how exactly can you stay alive in retirement? Now, that kind of sounds weird because if you're over 65 or you're 30 or 40 and your goal is to actually retire, you usually think about, well, my retirement life is pretty much going to be amazing. I'm going to be on vacations all the time. I don't have to work. I'll do what I want when I want. But in reality, humans overall, we need routines. And without routines and structure, things kind of fall apart very quickly. And what I see is whenever you have an old person that retired and you look at their retired life, it's not something that you actually are waiting to actually have. A lot of them basically fall apart. They start to get sick. They spend all their time at home. And usually everything they basically do is they take a lot of medicine. They take a lot of pills. And that's not really the lifestyle you actually want to have. Now, I have basically been around a lot of retirees, and that was basically when I was in Puerto Rico. And they did have a lifestyle that I actually appreciated in some way, because these old folks that were like 65, 70, I even saw a guy that was basically in his 80s. And can you guess where a young guy like me is going to meet these people? I met them at a racetrack. That's right. I would go in the mornings to actually go for runs and to just go to jog and walk. And they would all just be there early in the morning, almost every single morning from Monday to Friday. They would be there for about an hour. And they would be actually looking like they're actually thriving. It wasn't retiree. I spend all my time at home. All I do is pop pills, and I basically go to sleep, and I wake up and do the same thing over and over again. It kind of seems like so repetitive to where the point is like, well, that's not really what you want, and that cannot be healthy. So in this video, the goal is to tell you about 4 things that you actually want to do to stay living longer in retirement, but also have a better quality of life. So if you're looking to retire soon, or if you're already retired and you want to know basically, hey, what can I do to be better? This is the video for you. And by the way, if you're not even retired or have no chance of retiring like in the next 10, 20 years, doesn't matter. These are things you should be doing from today forward. So this way, when you do get to that point, you're going to be doing a lot better. So that's why number 1 is going to be pursue health. And that is very, very true. And here's what I mean, okay? You don't want to be stumped at home. I've heard this saying before that if we're all going to die eventually, then what's the point of all this working out and eating healthy? In the end, we're all going to the same place. That is true. But most of us are not going to go to the same place, in the same style, and in the same condition. It can be horrific and it can be a lot more different. Obviously, only God knows what's actually going to happen. All you really have to do in your control is to try to thrive, to take care of your body. Because the interesting thing about the human body is that you only get one in this lifetime, right? You only get one and you cannot replace it. And head plants and head transplants have not been like a thing, okay? So you only get one. And I love the example by an old guy that I used to follow a lot. And he used to say, if I only gave you one car and you got to pick it, okay? You got to pick your favorite car of all time.
Just imagine that when we finish, I'm going to let each one of you pick out the car of your choice. Sounds good, doesn't it? Pick it out, any color, you name it. It'll be tied up with a bow, and it'll be at your house tomorrow. And you say, well, what's the catch? And the catch is that it's the only car you're going to get in your lifetime. Now, what are you going to do knowing that that's the only car you're ever going to have? Now, what I'd like to suggest is you're not going to get only one car in your lifetime, but you're going to get one body and one mind, and that's all you're going to get. And that body and mind feels terrific now, but it has to last you a lifetime.
And again, to go back to those old folks in Puerto Rico, their schedule was very routine. You know, they would go for walks from Monday to Friday for about an hour, and that would basically keep them up to date. On top of that, I highly recommend also you do some weightlifting. If you're young or old, this is actually going to benefit you a lot. And obviously, you're not going to do a lot of crazy weightlifting, but you do want to build up your strength. One thing I've seen, for example, with people around me personally that I know is the older they get, the more shrivel they actually get. And the more likely they are to basically slip and fall and just basically fall apart and crumble. But if you have some muscle, if you have some health, if you're able to walk and have some activity going on and just like basically breathing fine and normally, it's going to help you out a lot. Exercise helps out a lot. Now, number two, guys, is going to be you want to pursue new friends, especially young ones, and be a part of a community. You know, only on TV, cartoons, and movies, I used to see, for example, those old folks that they would be standing out on their porch on a swinging chair like this all day, every day, and they would not have any friends, okay?
You pesky kids, get off my lawn!
And that's not really the lifestyle you actually want to live. Okay, you really want to be a part of a community. You want to be a part of your neighbor's life. Also, you want them to be a part of your life. That's going to be super important. Now, you might have some nasty neighbors. That's to be said. I don't know. But being a part of a community, whether it's a church, an organization, or a club or something, is going to help you out a lot. Here's another example. I experimented with some old folks over in Florida. I went to Florida for a trip and I actually ended up doing some meetups. And those meetups were actually with old folks, okay? I went bowling with a group and I went hiking with a group also. And the majority of them were old folks. And they would say, hey, I like to do these activities because it keeps me meeting people and talking and just having fun and exercising sometimes. I think that's so important. At the end of the day, we are not meant to be living on an island by ourselves where we just basically watch entertainment or be at home all day and not talk to anyone. It'll make you almost go crazy, okay? So having some communication with other people, young people, older folks, and just talking and just sharing stories and listening to music, whatever it is, especially at church, so important. Like, that's one of the best things, like being part of a church. Obviously, it's following God, but being part of a community, that makes a big difference, okay? Being part is awesome, all right? So that's super important. Be a part of a community that helps you stay alive longer. And it also lowers your stress. And having strong bonds makes a big difference in your life. Now, number three is going to be simplifying possessions. Now, one of my favorite older folks that I actually saw do this, he had a job, and in his job that he worked because he wanted to, kind of sounds like backwards, right? But he's retired. Why is he working? He enjoys his job. But his job was like 5 minutes away. He worked with who exactly he wanted to work with. He lived in the same house for the past like 30 years or plus, and he lived the life he actually wanted to live, a low stress life. And I think that makes a massive difference. I think the older you get, if you're getting older and you're more worried about, I want more possessions and I want this and I want that, it tends not to be the best, okay? I've seen men that as they grow older, they're trying to get rid of things because they see, hey, I don't want all this complexity. As my body ages, I'm able to basically do less and I don't want to overwhelm myself. And I've also seen men that are trying to fight against their age, and as they get older, they want to do more stuff to gain more wealth or whatever it is, okay? And I think it's very important as you get older, or as you just build towards financial freedom or just build towards wealth overall, that you try to simplify your life the best as possible. Because life is not about complexity. I don't think you want a complex life, but I think a simple life tends to work out best. A simple life that you actually enjoy. And that does not happen by accident. It happens by design. Now, number three, guys, is going to be attain traditional investments, your house, and having enough. Usually, when you're looking at retirement from the point of view from the internet or just people overall, retirement almost seems as if like once you get to this point, you're going to have so much and so much abundance. The truth is, if you're worried about those things, you might never get to retirement. But retirement is about getting to a point where you have enough. And enough in a sense of traditional things, okay? I've seen folks that as they get older, they want to know about Bitcoin, they want to know about a new investment style, they want to know about stuff. And what you really want are things that are proven and have a track record that you can basically rely on, because it's super important. You don't want to put your investments at risk. So one main thing that I saw is, if you're getting older or if you're working towards this retirement lifestyle in a way, having no debt helps a lot. Having 3 to 6 months of your emergency fund helps a lot. Having some investments that pay you some passive income to cover your costs of living basically helps out a lot. And having a paid off home helps out even more. And once you do all that, if you could actually extend your emergency fund from 6 months or 3 months all the way up to 12 months, that gives you a lot of solace. Is that the idea? Or just a lot of confidence, and it makes you feel safe in a way. Okay, so overall, guys, these are 4 things that you really want to watch out for in retirement, so you can actually live retirement and just be a lot happier overall. All right, guys, thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.